from Dominica, those of you in the region, all further afield, everyone looking on, a pleasant greetings and welcome to you. Wherever you are, it's always a pleasure to be with you guys each and every Saturday from just about that time. Started a little late, but I am here and we are ready to go. Yeah, folks, first off the bat, let me apologize to you guys for not being able to make it last week Saturday to be precise. The body, I can tell you, it really was under pressure in terms of feeling tired. Yeah, the spirit was willing, but the body said no. So I just had to take a break last week, and that is due to some work that I am engaged in presently, which really and truly took the better of me last week Saturday. A matter of fact, that work continues, and so it nearly took the better toll on me today as well. But I had to cut it out at a certain hour to prepare for tonight's engagement, okay? So again, I just want to apologize to each and every one of you for not being able to be with you guys last week, yeah? But yes, I am here and we're going to do some making up, as it were, in terms of the information, factual information that is, that I always pride myself on to share each and every time whenever I come to you live here. The number of folks of you already here, it will be too much of a time to go through names, but thank you very, very much indeed for being part and parcel on the panel here tonight in terms of you guys looking on and listening. It's always a pleasure. Folks, this evening we're going to start with some international matter. We're going to, after we're done with that, we're going to come home to some local matters, and we're going to bring down the program tonight about 7:30, 8 o'clock, there about 7:30, 8 o'clock. All right, normally we end at 8. But we may end at 7:30 tonight, all right? But all in all, it is expected to be a very interesting and informative program. All the best, yeah, to us here on the live. Yeah. Okay, someone is trying to make contact if you're truly here. Okay, good. All right. But before I get into the international matter that I really want to start with, I know, yes, I know, a number of people out there, you guys are hurting in one way, shape, or form. And I'm specifically talking about, be it you are facing a health challenge, your relative is facing a health challenge, or whatever it is. Be it a death in the family, some persons on hospital beds as we speak. Some persons have gone through recovering from surgeries. And so whatever it is that may be aching, whatever it is that may be paining you at this time, right here, and I want to think all of us here on the live feed would want to come and surround you at this time and just ask you to hold on, yeah? It is said joy comes in the morning, and so maybe tomorrow morning may be a different morning for you. But we know whenever things like that occur, it is always a trying time. And so everyone who is going through at this time, I empathize or sympathize with you at this time, yeah? Before I pull up on that segment, there's a brother who, it is said, who fell from a scaffolding at the site of the construction site, that is, of the Dominica Grammar School. To his friends and family at this time, we remember him and also remember you as well, all right? So you guys just hold it forth, as it were. We know that you guys are going through a very trying time at this time, yeah? And all of those, as I said, of you who are going through, just hold on, yeah? Okay, folks, on the international front, what I really wanted to start with is I always take time off to look at some international news. And this week, what caught my attention was the death toll that is still counting in Palestine. We know this war is going on with Israel and Gaza at this time, and the Palestinian people in Gaza with the Palestinian people. And so the death toll, it is rising. And the last count I got before coming on here, pretty close to 40,000 people. Imagine our population in Dominica with just bordering on 55, 60,000 people. So you can well imagine 40,000 people over there have so far lost their life as a result of, I am saying now, that unwarranted war. And added to that, added to the death toll, those who are wounded, those who are living but will never be the same again, it is clocking up to 100,000 people. 85,000 thereabout, to be precise. And I know you may be saying, what can you do? Yes, you can do a lot by raising your voice, by condemning such actions, such unnecessary deaths. It is quite alarming that the world can sit back now and in real time look at what I am saying now, a genocide taking place on television. And some people turn the other cheek. They play as if they see no evil and hear no evil. And so I am calling now through this medium on the powers that be. These leaders who think, well, the world belongs to them. The world rotates on the axis, as it were. You guys need to put a little water in your wine. People's lives matter. And I know it depends on which side of the fence you're on. You will either be for or against. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter to me. What really matters to me is humanity and the lives that have been lost. Innocent children. Children cannot go to school. The spate of hunger that is happening amidst all what is happening, it is quite a sight to behold. And sometimes I really ponder and think, what is happening to humans? We are supposed to be a notch higher, a couple notches higher than the animals, but it would seem as if the animals, they are behaving better than us as it pertains to their existence. They learn to live with one another. We also have this ongoing war as well with Ukraine and Mr. Putin in Russia. We are hearing about the troubled times ahead with China and Taiwan as well. We are hearing about this escalation that is on the horizon as well as it pertains to the Ayatollah and his guys. And it is just so sad to see that we can be living in a world that is so troubled. So I just wanted to bring that to attention. Whilst we may be in some kind of relative comfort here, we need to remember brothers and sisters over there who are going through hell every day, especially innocent children. So I just thought I would start us on that very sad note and ask each and every one of us, whatever we think we can do to help, please do. We are all human beings, as the good book says, as sojourners just passing through. Yeah? All right, Dominicans, there is a, as we leave the international front, there is an unresolved matter, an unresolved case that has been unfolding in Dominica for some time. And I want to bring back your attention, for those of you who may have forgotten already, to the case of Kisha Ian. That case, among many others, yours truly will never, ever forget. Yours truly will never, ever put down until and unless justice be meted out in that matter. And so we're going to spend a little time on Kisha Ian tonight as it relates to her disappearance, a very bizarre disappearance, I keep saying, from us in Dominica. And yes, I am still on that case, doing what I can do as a citizen of my land, trying to get factual answers re that very bizarre disappearance of Kisha Ian. And so I'll tell you what I've been finding out, and I want to call on the police in Dominica. I want to put you guys on notice. I want to put you guys on blast, as it were, that you guys have not done a good job in the investigating of this innocent child disappearing from us, and there's much more that you guys could do and you guys can do. And so if I, yours truly, can be going around investigating that matter in my own way, shape, and form, and picking up information, pertinent information that is, as it pertains to the disappearance of this child, I think the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, from captain down to cook, you guys can do a much better job. And so it has been brought to my attention by very reliable sources, people. Kisha Ian, 2 weeks before she disappeared, the teachers at her school, at least her class teacher and others, they saw a change in Kisha's behavior. Yes, you heard me right. That has never been brought to the light before. A change was seen in Kisha's behavior. And if anybody or any set of people to detect a change in children, apart from their parents, it is teachers. Because a child or children spends a good chunk of their time at school, and the teachers, they are trained as well, not just to teach, but to observe. And so, making their observation, the teachers at the Warner Primary School that Kisha attended, at least I can report factually, that is, 2 weeks before her disappearance, a change was seen or was noticed in Kisha. And obviously, the adopted mother was called in to at least be apprised of that situation, and an answer or answers be given or suggested as to why. And I'm being told this adopted mother, she was called in, she did not come in when the school requested on the particular day, but she did come in. And I can tell you, based on what was told to me by sources, reliable sources, what she, the adopted mother, told the teachers at that school as to what she suspected may have contributed to the change in behavior of the child in her custody at that time, it is quite revealing. And so I want to put the police on note. During your investigation, did you guys boot up on that piece of information as there was a change in Kisha's behavior 2 weeks, just about there, before her very bizarre disappearance? And did you guys, if you guys knew that in terms of her behavior, change of behavior, did you guys question or got to know why, in terms of suggestions from the adopted mother, who told the teachers as to what she thought may have contributed to that behavior. In a subsequent program, people, I will be telling you exactly what I know about why, what was suggested by the adopted mother to the teachers at that school. But for now, let the investigation roll on. I know it seems as if it is a dead matter, but it is by no means a dead matter. So if you, the police guys, the investigating officers, don't know, I am helping you guys in that department. At least you need to know. Because a child should never just be made to disappear like that without proper answers. And the answers, based on what I'm getting on the ground, the answers are right there. The factual answers as to what really and truly happened to Kenisha. It is a matter of just piecing it together and the puzzle. Once you piece that puzzle together, a beautiful, or in that case, a sorrowful picture will be seen, or will be told, or will be known. And so yes, the adopted mother mentioned to the teachers as to a reason or reasons she suspected or can concur with the teachers why the behavior in that child. Let's go on, people. The adopted mother had living at that property in that house her father, who by all stretch of the imagination, everybody who knew said that man, up in age, he was blind. Again, I want to ask the investigating officer or officers on that matter, during you guys' investigation, were you ever told, were you ever apprised of a blind man? The father of the adopted mother was living in that house. Was that blind man ever asked a question by you, the police officers, as to what he may have known or may have heard? We cannot ask him what he saw, because it is factually known he was blind. Just when did that man left Warner and be moved to another area? Just when? All these questions are leading pieces of that puzzle. Once put together, one piece together will bring that puzzle together, because nothing under the sun does just happen. Everything has a particular way of falling in place. I am being told of a feud. I am being told of, for us to understand it in Dominica, a debate that is, as we speak, ongoing as it relates to the property now at Glashin in Warner, where the adopted mother, the preacher himself, Kenisha, basically was living. And the feud, I am being told, it surrounds now around the situation. The preacher has since for some time left Dominica and is in Antigua. As to what he's doing in Antigua, we will be getting to that in just a while, or in a subsequent program. He has since left Dominica and he is in Antigua, I'm being told. And my sources in Antigua confirm, yes, he is in Antigua. But what he left behind, the land up at Glashin, where Kenisha disappeared on that very unfaithful night of June 7th, 2022. That land is now in dispute. And I'm being told the relatives of the preacher, they are hassling the adopted mother to leave that property, vacate that property, move out from that property. Some of the relatives of preacher, as we speak, that is happening. And so the adopted mother had no choice in the matter when that little house that they once lived was surrounded with galvanized and obstructions and everything for her not to be able to get to that house. She had no choice but to take her belongings, the majority thereof, and put in a little shed now about 300 feet away on the roadside. I pause a bit so that you guys could saturate in your system. It could saturate in your system before we continue. Yours truly, well, before I get to that, from all reports, factually that is, Kisha Ian, 12 years old at the time, was born a left-handed child. I want to repeat that because that too, it is, I am suggesting, part of the puzzle. Once put in place properly, the picture will emerge. Kisha Ian was a left-handed child. The preacher, Mr. Laurent Bruno, yours truly, went on the ground in Warner and spoke to a number of people in Warner just days, a couple weeks past that very bizarre disappearance of that child. And the universe would have it, when I was making my rounds in Warner, talking to people, read what they knew of that child and the situation, I bounced up with none other than Mr. Preacher himself. Maybe you guys are hearing me saying that for the first time. So there are many things sometimes I keep to my chest. When it is ready to be revealed, it will be revealed. I bounced up with Mr. Preacher, Mr. Laurent Bruno, an afternoon about 4:30, 5 o'clock, when I was making my rounds in Warner, trying to piece together why this child just vanished. For those of you who know Warner, Warner has there's like the main bus stop on the top of the hill. When you're on top there, you can basically see the plain below. That's the main entrance to get into the village. There are little other outlets to get, but that's that entrance we're talking about. It's sort of like a free route coming from Pokase. You can go into Warner, take that left, or continue to go right, continue to go Maho, Masa area. right up there. Let's take it from that point. You go down into Warner, and if you walk in, 3 minutes, not 5, about 3 minutes, we'll get you to the spot on the left hand side, under something like a little gazebo or a little shed or whatever. I met Mr. Bruno. And that was just about 2 weeks, I am saying. Not a month. 2 weeks, 3 weeks max. After that case basically just burst on the scene in Dominica. I met Mr. Bruno on the left-hand side of the road. I was driving up my vehicle, so he would be on my right. But I'm taking you now from that hill coming down, he would be on my left. But on the day in question, 4:30, 5 o'clock that afternoon, he was on my right. And I drove past the person. After I drove past the person, I said to myself, wait a minute, that person looks familiar. And it occurred to me that I may just have passed Mr. Bruno himself. And so I reversed the vehicle. And here was it. Mr. Bruno was standing under this little gazebo, this little thing. Not immaculately dressed, but well dressed enough. And with this little hat, this old men normally wear, this, what they call it, a felt hat. You know, this little hat sticking up, you know, with the little thing, and the thing is right around. I saw him. I said, good afternoon, sir. He said, good afternoon. He responded. But I am thinking now, he did not know who was speaking with him. And so the conversation with me and him, it started very well, I must say. Very, very well. I greeted him, he answered, and I'll tell you straight off, I was on the mission of finding answers. So when we greeted each other, my eyes, they were focused on what allegedly he said on the record was that bruise, that damage, that cutlass wound, that whatever it is, that was placed on his right side of his head. And so my eyes, they were focused on that wound with laser beam scrutiny, because I wanted to see for myself what it looked like. And so in the engagement with him, that 15-20 seconds, I was focused on his face, watching to his right side of his head, where he said on the record, Kian Alexander caught him with a cutlass whilst pursuing that child, in terms of taking that child away. And folks, I am no medical doctor. The wound that I saw, what I can describe to you, to me, that's the impression I got from the wound. It was as if, not a cutlass, not a blunt object, not a sharp object to say with full force, that came down on the right side of preacher's head. That is what I saw, and that is what I can report. If I saw something otherwise, you know yours truly, I'll report it to you as is. I have no horses in the game. All I am after is justice for that child. And so the wound I am telling you guys that I saw that afternoon, it was a wound, I am saying, it was consistent with something other than a cutlass. A cutlass to me would have created much more of an impact in that area. A cutlass to me would have opened that wound much more. A cutlass to me would have made the body, that is Mr. Preacher, suffered a bit much more. I'm not saying he didn't suffer because he was at the hospital for some time. But that is what I saw. And so I am prepared to say, based on guesstimation, cutlass did not inflict that wound on Preacher's head. I am prepared to make that guesstimation. I am going further to suggest it could be a knife may have caused that slice on the brother's head. That's what I saw. Folks, if I cut you with a cutlass, if I cut you with a knife, medically speaking, that will be two different cuts. And even when that wound is healing or has healed, you will be able to differentiate the type of object that was used. And I am telling you guys, a cutlass, to me, a cutlass was not the object that was used against the head of the brother in terms of the inflicting of that wound. So, as to how he got that wound, he alone knows. He said on the public record, it is there, how he got it. But I am saying, based on what I saw, I'm telling you what somebody told me. I saw that wound. We were standing about 6 feet away from each other. Matter of fact, when I stopped the vehicle, I reversed the vehicle. When I recognized it was Mr. Bruno, I came out of the vehicle so that to engage him much more intimately. We greeted each other. And I said after, Mr. Bruno, is that you? He said, yes, that's Mr. Bruno. I told him, I identified myself. I said, I'm Loftus Durand. Now, when I said my name, Loftus Durand, I could see his eyebrows were raised. I could see there was this, all of a sudden, rejection now as to what is to come. And so I said, I'm Loftus Durand, just walking around the village, asking people in Warner exactly what they knew, what they heard, what they saw. Re Kisha Ian. Kisha Ian was a child who lived with you in terms of, you know, her bringing. What can you see? Is there anything from that point? All hell broke loose in terms of his general reaction. So the cordial Mr. Bruno was no longer a cordial Mr. Bruno. Thereafter, when I asked him or posed the scenario to him straight up, he said straight up, I am not answering any questions. I am not going down that road. A matter of fact, where he was standing, he was so incensed about me asking him about a child that was in his custody. He moved away and was walking away from yours truly. And so I did not have, it wasn't my intention to make any debate or make any problem with the brother. And so when he started to move away, I realized, you know something? I let my sixth sense kick in and I said, you know something? Let me not pursue the brother anymore, because he might just say I'm harassing him or whatever it is or whatever it is. And so I jumped back in my vehicle and I drove off. In driving off, and I am talking to you today. That engagement, it will never, never, ever depart from me till the good Lord call me home. I saw someone ask, was there any emotion on brother preacher's face or going through his veins? I did not see that. And I am saying, I am suggesting, a child disappeared from you guys in such bizarre circumstances. Anniversary upon anniversary. It is 2 now. June gone gave it 2. June 7th gone gave it 2 years. And it is just normal human behavior that the people who were directly responsible for that child, I am saying to you guys, if there wasn't more in the mortar than the pestle, they would have at least turned back year on, and say, you know something, let me just open up myself. Let me just be a little more, I don't want to say transparent, but that word keeps coming at me. Let me be a little more empathetic to the people that are hurting. And so again, it struck me, year 1 anniversary gone. Neither Mr. Preacher nor Miska made any, well, let me reverse. I did not hear them make any utterance publicly. I don't know what they're doing privately. Year 2, same thing. And if it is not the father of that child that is keeping that case alive ever so often and bringing it up, Kisha may have been, well, apart from some people who are still on it, may have been a distant memory. Now, let's get to Antigua. The world that we're living in, or some people say on, it is said it is a global village. Meaning, no matter where you are on the world or in the world, whatever you do, whatever you say, wherever you go, it is basically right there for others to see and know. And so this afternoon, I am telling you guys from very factual sources in Antigua, because I was of the notion that seeing that Mr. Bruno is said to be a man of the cloth, a preacher that is, I was of the notion that he was transferred to Antigua to do some preaching duties or ministerial duties or church duties or man of the cloth duties. That is what my mind was telling me. But based on what I can report to you guys, I can report to you from very factual nature, none of the above that I mentioned before is happening with Mr. Preacher in Antigua. A matter of fact, the house where he is living, where he is sleeping, that house represents a portion of a church. And at the end of the day, that church have its pastor. That church, I'm being told, have its deacons in order. So Mr. Preacher did not go to that church and do anything of substance to say taking up ministry there. So you guys can take that as a position of fact. The question that now comes after that: why would a man up in age, like Mr. Preacher, leave Dominica on the cusp of a situation like that happening to a child that was in his possession? And basically, I am saying, moved. Some of you may use other adjectives. He moved to Antigua for no practical or valid reasons. Why? 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 And so, Dominicans, you have people who know, they are in the know what happened to Kisha. Straight up. They know. You have people who may know, based on their interaction, their engagement with Kisha herself. They may be able to put the pieces of that puzzle together. And it is these people now I am banking on, I am making a special appeal to. Let your conscience be your guide in that matter. Speak up. Speak up. And I am asking the police now, the police headed by Mr. Valerie, to revisit that matter ASAP. Because there may just be people who are willing to speak and tell you exactly what they know. There may be people now that their conscience is ticking. And they may just realize, you know something, I cannot go to the great beyond with that on my chest. And so it behooves the police now. The onus is on the police now to revisit that matter, open that case, reopen that case, so that factual answers can be given and that case can be solved in the interest of justice. Kisha could be any one of us child. And I know if my child disappeared in that fashion, trust me, I'll be turning all stones in Dominica to get answers. Because there must be answers. Kisha wasn't rain, water that fell and the sun came out and she evaporated. No. She was a child with blood living among us and part of us. And it cannot be some of us, we know what happened and we stay silent. And so I'm going to make a pronouncement now. Some of you may not like it, but that's what it is. Anybody who knows the whereabouts of Kisha and is concealing that information, may Kisha, the spirits that are associated with that case as well, haunt you until you basically decide to do the right thing. That is my prayer. May Kisha herself and the spirits that are associated with that case continue to haunt you guys until you decide to do the right thing. So, there are some school who may know. There was a whole church community that Kisha belonged to that should have known some things as well. There is, by extension, a village there is the adopted parents who, by all stretch of the imagination, were the last to saw her alive and well. And I am saying, these two people, to me, much more answers should be forthcoming from these two people. And I am basically saying Mr. Preacher and Miska. Ian was killed, brutally killed. He was murdered, based on what I know. And I know that based on members of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force they were under the bush. And the account that was given about a 3-foot cutlass and a launch at the police, that I can tell you, that is not factual. So this brother was killed in the process. So you have one child missing, one man killed, and it would seem as if everything should just go dead. Well, no, people. So I'm just making a last appeal to anybody, small as the information you may have. It is crucial, it is vital to bring inclusion. Don't ever underestimate what you know. And I'm going to tell you guys straight up as I end this segment. On today's what? Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. Friday, yesterday. The matter where a number of people on Dominica would tear gassed at the foot of Macmillan gas station, Castle Street, Rosewood, there, right there. That case is still continuing in the court. And so yours truly, Arthur Martin, and a brother named, what is it, Mr. Daisy, aka the tear gas man. After that dose of tear gas, he got that nickname. We brought that matter to court. And so it has been in the court system, you know, up, down, before, how they call it, case management and judges and this and that. Anyway, finally, what I can report to you guys, the judge that is here in Dominica sitting now, he has set that matter for the 25th and 26th of June to be heard. So witnesses have to come through and whoever have to, that matter has to be resolved. So it's either the police was right or the protesters were right. So we'll get some decision on that. I say all that to say, on Friday gone, I had the opportunity to sit in the same court setting with Mr. Valerie, the now acting commissioner of police in Dominica. He was there attending to that matter that I just spoke of. Because it is his men who I am saying unleashed unlawfully, that is, tear gas on an unprovoked crowd. So, when Mr. Valerie and I, wrapped up that whatever it was on Friday. I took the opportunity and I asked Mr. Valerie if I could have a word or two with him. And he obliged. And so I said, Mr. Valerie, there's much more that you guys could do in the matter of missing Kisha. And we had this little conversation. And so I pointed him to some of the facts. Read that matter. And there was a promise by him. Because I am somebody, when I do things in the public interest, I like it to be made public. So it wasn't no secret talk between Valerie and myself. Kisha Ian is a public matter now. And so he promised yours truly, he will do whatever he can do, has to do, reinvestigation as it pertains to information that I gave him. And so, Mr. Valerie, I am waiting on you, sir, to see some kind of move in that department as to a plan of action to reignite, reopen that case, and let the people speak. Yeah? And I'm not putting myself on any pedestal. That is not my mantra, that is not my intention, that is not my motive. I am just a willing participant to help the police. If they cannot do what they think needs to be done, I am willing. I am saying it public. I'm willing to help you guys to piece it together as to what I know so far. Because there are a number of things that I will never say public. Read that matter, because I don't want that case to be jeopardized in one way, shape, or form. But I believe, based on the information at hand, that case can be solved, should be solved, it must be solved. Enough, at least on that segment for now. It's just about 7 o'clock. We are cooking on gas, as it were, in terms of time. Next on the agenda, Dominicans. We have 2 more segments to deal with. And let me just give you the 2 segments that I'll be dealing with. We'll be dealing with next a case at the hospital. And following that, I will be breaking down for you so that the ordinary man and woman can understand what it means to have a couple, a man and a woman, wife and husband, at the pinnacle of the political ladder in Dominica, and their lavish lifestyle that goes with it. So I'll be breaking that down. We heard some of it this week, but maybe some of you did not catch it, or the gravity thereof. I'll be bringing it to you. Let's go to the case at the hospital. For most of you who know, there's a young lady, a lady named Mabel Reed. And some of you may not know Mabel, who is Mabel Reed. But let me break it down so that you guys could come home knowing who's Mabel Reed. Mabel Reed is this, I am saying, this quote-unquote lady that you see in Roseau ever so often. And it is said that she has some sort of issues dealing with mentally. That is the Mabel I'm talking about now. And I know all of you, once you're Dominican, you should know Mabel. Mabel is a household name, a household character in Dominica. So that is the Mabel. I am being told from very factual sources, this lady is now a patient at the Princess Margaret Hospital. And you may say, but Lofty, what is in that? She's a patient, she's a patient. The patient Mabel is, as we speak, on the Daubeny ward, the Daubeny wing of the Princess Margaret Hospital. Now, for those of you, women in particular, who have visited the hospital, who have stayed at the hospital, and you stayed on the Daubeny ward, you will know exactly what I'm talking about now. The Daubeny ward is primarily set aside for people who, women that is, come from surgery and they are there to recuperate, recover until they are sent home. Mabel is on that ward, I'm being told. What is she doing in that ward? She didn't have the surgery. She's not recuperating. She's on that ward because whoever picked her up in Roseau under her allegedly mental state of mind, doing things, whatever it is, brought her to the hospital and she was admitted on the Daubeny ward. Now, folks, the nurses, they're under pressure. They're under pressure in the hospital, but they're under extra pressure on that ward. And that information I'm telling you, no nurse in their right mind will come to the public and tell you that as I'm telling you. None of them. Because obviously they're under oath to serve. But they are under pressure. This lady, Mabel, is on that ward. Placed on that ward by whoever put her on that ward. Now, let me just clear up certain things to you so you could understand where I'm going with that situation. The APU, the acute psychiatric unit, that is below. By all stretch of the imagination, rightfully, based on what Mabel is exhibiting, that should be the most appropriate place for her. But I'm being told that place, the APU, it is overcrowded. It is like you have an overcrowded jail. You can take no more. It is up to the throats in terms of patients. You reported, well, not last week before when I was here with you guys. I reported on some situation, unbecoming situation that is occurring at the APU. I'm still monitoring that situation as well. So because of the overcrowdedness of the APU, Mabel, it is being told, it has been said, cannot be housed at the APU. Whoever is trying Grotto, I'm being told, Grotto again is another place that is up to the throats with patients. So the people at Grotto basically, quote unquote, wash their hands like Pontius Pilate. The infirmary, I'm being told, was another avenue that they sought. But again, I'm being told the authorities at the infirmary said, read Mabel's situation, read this allegedly mental situation, they will not accept her there. There's not a place for quote unquote mental issue people. Yeah. So you can now understand the dilemma that this Mabel woman has on her hand. So she's at the, whoever, I'll not go there now, at least not for that program. Whoever placed her on the Daubeny ward, she's not suited for purpose there. I'm being told she's engaging in some things that it is just not right in terms of she being on that wall. I don't want to be too graphic with you guys, but she's doing some things that is just not right. And so you can well imagine if somebody, as they say, is mentally, you can understand what is happening there. Bearing in mind, that place was cut, it was set aside for women coming from surgery to recover. Now, where this story gets a bit tangy, Mabel, I'm being told, she is the relative, blood related to some people who are closely, very closely connected to the cabal. These people, they were reached out to as well in terms of asking their assistance in that regard. And every one of them, they asked, they turned it down. Now, these people that I'm talking about who are so closely connected to the cabal, based on what the public know, they have the wherewithal to help their relative, not a stranger, their relative in that department. But they choose not. And so I am saying that is how some people who are so closely connected to the cabal, they profess to be Christians. They profess to be Christ-like. They talk Christ. They walk Christ. They eat Christ. But they ain't doing Christ. That's the best I can put it. And they know themselves. Some of them have mansions. And in those mansions, their relative should be able to get, even if is something on the side of those mansions. Some of them, they have houses, they have mansions. They cannot sleep in the amount of rooms that are in these mansions. But their relative, they will leave that relative on the Dobini ward at the hospital to cause trouble, make deba, and disrupting the services that the poor nurses now have to render to the regular people at the Dobini ward. They are so closely connected. Let us say, peradventure, they may not want their relative to be close to them in terms of being housed in a downstairs or in their shed or whatever it is. They are so closely connected, they should be able to intervene on their relative now behalf. You have all labor rights, getting house that don't deserve a house. You have people who qualify themselves as labor rights. They have their home, but they still get another home. They still get an apartment. And what they do, they are renting these apartments whilst they're staying in their home. But Mabel Reed, a woman that has fell through the cracks, maybe through no fault of hers, cannot be a recipient of a government, well, let me take out government, Labour Party apartment. She cannot be. There is this care program, this elderly care program. Mabel, to me, should fall in that category. To get somebody, the government should pay that person, house Mabel, take care of Mabel as a citizen of the country that has fell through the cracks. That is what the country's money is supposed to be doing for and on behalf of its citizens. But no. If you go outside the apartments, which I am privy to on a daily basis, because I move very early in the morning to go about my daily business. So some of these occupants of these apartments, they may be just turning when I am moving. And so I have the opportunity on many occasions to see the kind of vehicles, FA and others. FA meaning the government of the day, the Labour Party of the day, gave them duty free on these vehicles. And they have these vehicles parked outside these apartments. And somebody like Mabel cannot get an apartment. But some of these greedy people that associate themselves with labor, they know how to suck. They know how to get the crumbs from the quote-unquote master's table and play as if people like Mabel, they don't exist. Do your research, people. Go around these apartments, go around these homes, and you will see if these people did not have to sing the Labour Party Kumbaya song to get an apartment or to be in an apartment. That is one of the criteria to be in an apartment. You have to sing the party song. You remember Ian Douglas, where he is now, Cuba, told us about the party song. After you kneel for it, after you beg for it, after you come and cry for it, take care of it. That's what Ian Douglas told us many moons ago. So Ian sold them out. He sold out the cabal in terms of the posture that some of these people, what they have to do to be housed, to find a home. That is a human right. They have to come and grovel. They have to come and beg. They have to come and crawl. They have to come and say, Master, please. That is what Ian told us in essence. The truth always have a way of coming out. And so that is what some of these people have to do. And some of them get these apartments. And they are schooled, they are coerced into, I put you there. You need not say nothing against me or else. You need not say nothing that appears to be against the regime or else. And by extension, your relatives, your mother, your father, your child, similar fate, if they say anything against the regime, explicitly or implied, you will be out. And that is the harsh reality that Dominicans face. So, as we wind up on that segment read, Mabel Reid, Whenever you're dealing with a dictatorship, there are certain things that happen in a dictatorship that should not happen anywhere. But it seems to make way or gets its way through in a dictatorship because that is the hallmark or one of the hallmarks of a dictatorship. These people always inject themselves, always put themselves in areas that really don't concern them. And so apart from all what I told you there, Mabel's plight, housing and housing accommodation, and her relatives who are so closely connected to the cabal, choose not to see her, choose not to hear her, and they know themselves. Mabel has a file at the hospital where her notes is kept. By some stretch of the imagination, one of the sycophants of the quasi-dictatorship we have here, they went in that file and plugged in, had the audacity to plug in. When I say plug in, meaning encrypted something in the file, just in case something would happen to Mabel. Then the pundits that I'm talking about now, they will be washed clean. You see, just like the preachers, just like the teachers, just like the rabbis of old, they wore long gowns. They were white as snow. But the good book says inside those long gowns, the body, what kept that gown together, it was like dead men bones. One of these people who wore these white gowns, and inside them are like dead men bones, they had the audacity to plug in, write in something on that file that was not auctioned by the quote-unquote hospital authority as to the diagnosis of Mabel. And that is how ridiculous it can get. That is how scary it can get. That is how out of the world, out of the thinking it can get when you come to these people. I'm watching that situation, and so what is encrypted in that file? You just need to stay tuned. You'll be hearing that very, very soon. And so I want to make a final appeal now as we dovetail into the last segment. I want to make a final appeal now to Kasani Laville. He's supposed to be on the books, the Minister of Health. And so, Mr. Laville, I am putting it now to you, sir. If you did not know about that situation, Mabel Reed, that falls squarely under your portfolio. And you as the minister, the buck stops with you. And so no relative, no body in high places, no whatever it is, supposed to be able to come into your ministry and do some things that are not becoming of the health sector, the health department, the health of anybody under your as the Minister of Health. And so I'm still giving you the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes things have a way of happening And so I am putting your note. If you did not know, you should know now. And so somebody now need to get that message now, to get that recording of tonight's program to Kasani Laville, so that he can acquaint himself. If he did not know, I'm just assuming, some of what I said tonight, he needs to go to the Daubeny ward and see what is happening there, maybe read, and use his, not better, his best judgment and come up with answers. I rest. $7:27, that means we're just on the money. 7:30. So we have the last half hour stint to go. Let me see if I get some photos there to show you. Because they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Where are you? Okay, let me get back to this here. All right, now folks, what we're going to get involved with now, what we're going to get into now, the last segment that is, when I was made aware of what I'm going to show you, I could only equate it at the time to the Husseins in Iraq once upon a time. You remember Saddam Hussein? You remember his sons who got killed? Uday Hussein, Kisha Hussein, and the clan, the Hussein clan. You remember that clan, people? So when it was brought to my attention this week, I could only resemble what I saw at the time. That's the first thing that struck me. It is the Hussein family of Iraq once upon a time, how they used to use the Iraqis' wealth on themselves. A matter of fact, when the brother's house was bombed or whatever it was, golden toilets were there. Things that you have to do, number one and number two, these things were of gold. Can you imagine that? So with a dictator, with dictatorships, the country's wealth, it is always used upon a certain set of people. And we have been seeing that, we have been witnessing that in Dominica for a number of years now. But some of us still choose to see and hear no evil. Let's go. This week, we saw these photos. You just pan that camera right there so you can see for yourself. And I'm going to break down those photos for you. Huh? What you see. We saw this man this week. This function, I'm being told, is a function in Penville, where Roosevelt Skerry, he, right here, was addressing, making an address to some kind of playground he and his wife installed in his constituency, that is the Penville constituency. Okay? So that was the setting. Even before I go there, in terms of describing what I want to describe to you guys. Let me tell you guys my honest opinion of what has been happening in Dominica, really is quote-unquote playgrounds for children, and how it is mesmerizing with the psyche of Dominicans. And sometimes Dominicans see things, they don't understand what is happening. But you have to have a mind's eye. Your mind have to have an eye or eyes to understand what is at play before you. And so Roosevelt Skerrit and his wife, they are on a mission to set up little play toys, little games, little parks, little this, little for children. These people, it is all well and good for children to have areas to play. But in my mind's eye, what I am seeing at play, it is this ill motive whereby through our, I am saying, slavery mentality that we adopted, some of us, it was inculcated in us. So some of us is not no fault of ours. There's this notion that when you're growing up, you heard your mother and your father said, mothers in particular say, you know something? You don't have to be good to me. Just be good to my child. I'll say it again. You don't have to be good to me. Just be good to my child. And that to our elderlies, they were comfortable with that. They could live with that. So leave them behind. Don't give them bread. Don't give them butter. Don't give it to the child, and they will be okay. That was the mindset. And so that to me is what is at play there now, with these little mini parks and mini this and mini playgrounds setting up all over the place. That is what is at play. But the motive is what is wrong. And so I know some of you die-hard labor rights will say, oh, you don't hear him saying. You don't hear him saying he don't want children to play in safe areas, and what the Prime Minister and his wife, blah, 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 blah. Take it how you want it. I am speaking my conscience. And so that is a setup. So that once you buy the child, you buy the children, you automatically buy the parents. That is the mission Roosevelt and his wife, they are on as leaders of this country. And it is all vote-catching mechanisms. Nothing more. It is all vote-catching mechanisms. And so you'll have the unsuspecting parents will sit in these parks and have their children play. And when the time to cast their vote, they will remember the little swing my child was on is Melissa and Skerrit that afforded it. And so on that note, their vote will go to Roosevelt and Melissa by extension as a result of a play area. And so that is what was attached to what I have to say to you now. Now, look, Roosevelt in Penville addressing whoever was there at that podium, on that podium. Okay? Good. See the play area at the back there. This little thing they're setting up. This little gimmickry. Good. Now, that shirt, people, that Roosevelt Skerrit have on him, this shirt, This shirt right there. When it was busted on social media as to the price that worth, I had to go and do my fact checking myself to ascertain what it is. Okay? And I can tell you people, it is as good as gold, the information that I'm going to send you with now. Give and take. That shirt, when it was plugged in the system, and I won't tell you what system, when it was plugged in the system in terms of the cost of that shirt Roosevelt Skerrit have on him, it is somewhere around 830 pounds. The shirt. You see the bill of that shirt, people? You see now it looking like the Abdullah style houses that is being erected all around in Dominica. You seen them? You seen them? I hope you took notice of that too. And you see the top of it? How flashy it is? The Hawaiian style with a lot of different colors. I will not say what all these colors may mean, but you know, there's a thrust for colors now, but it is what it is. Let's leave that alone. So that's the shirt, people. When it is plugged in the system, as I said, it adds up to 830 pounds. Folks, the rate of a pound now, as of today, the last I checked before coming here, it was at $3.42 a pound to $3.42 EC to a pound. So if you multiply that shirt be 830 pounds, we get an equivalent EC of $2,800 and something dollars. So that shirt, yes, that shirt, and just wait, you're gonna hear the sympathizers, you're gonna hear the spin doctors say that shirt was a gifted shirt if they cannot come up with no other reasonable excuse. That shirt is in the range of 3,000 EC dollars for that shirt. All right. The pants, you see the white pants? Look at the white pants. You see the white pants? The white pants, we could not put it in the system because there's no demarcation that we can see so that we could identify properly the style of pants. Okay? But if you have a $3,000 shirt, people, if you have a $3,000 shirt, it is very unlikely you will have $100 pants on you. Very unlikely. So just a rough estimation, a reasonable estimation on my part. That pants, I put it at a cost whereby I divided the cost of that shirt, which is established, divided by 4. So I say, okay, let us say the pants worth quarter the value of the shirt. It may be more, but I just want to be reasonable. I divided it by 4, put it into 4 equal parts. So that pants, it runs anywhere from $500, $600, $700, some $100. I am assuming because Roosevelt cannot be so mismatched in terms of dressing to have a $3,000 shirt and a $60 pants. That cannot happen. Never. So My guesstimation is that that pants cost at least more than $500 EC, to be conservative. Let's move on. Look. See that shoe, people? You see that style of shoe? That shoe, when we did the plugging in, the shoe is worth, that shoe, that pair of shoe is worth, the net worth of that shoe is about 8,000 EC dollars, people. You heard me right? $8,000 and change. I know some of you like to play St. Thomas in the Bible. Right? So that is the shirt we're talking about there. This shirt. Okay? Right there. That's the shirt. The exact shirt that was plugged in into the system. So you see this shirt is not on scary, right? So there is a shirt that exists in like that. So it is not a phantom of anybody's imagination. As a matter of fact, there were 3 pics of that shirt with different elevations, different angles, showing you the exact same shirt. So that is why and where we could cost that shirt in the range of about 3,000 EC dollars. See the shoe? Look at the shoe. It's a Beluti. That is the kind of brand your Prime Minister wears, people. A Beluti. That's the brand. And a suggested price under here, under that brand, that shoe is 3,283 USD, which equivalent to $8,000 and change. Folks, that is the brown shoe, right? If you go on that website, go to Beluti website. So don't take my word for it. Check the price of that shoe for yourself. If you go on that website, okay, people, you will also see, some of you guys have poor memory. You will also see a shoe resembling that pink shoe that was making the rounds before the 2019 sham. You guys remember that pink shoe foolishness that was going around? You will also see a true resemblance of the pink shoe on that website. And so the pink shoe back then, it wasn't cheap neither. And so that is the kind of lifestyle, let me qualify, the very lavish lifestyle that the man who sits in the chair as Prime Minister engages in on the backs of Dominica people. So, we had the pants, right? We had the pants. We had the pants, we had the shirt, we had the shoe. These 3 items, EC equivalent, adds up to more than 12,000 EC dollars. Now, I'm a man. Roosevelt Scarrett must have a socks with that. Roosevelt Scarrett must have an underwear with that. Roosevelt Scarrett must, well, should I say must, but likely, very likely, a belt under that, although we don't know the style. So if there is a belt, if there is socks, if there is underwear, then that's a cost as well. Now that is things you can see, or you should be able to see in terms of clothing. Remember, I haven't plugged in as yet the smell of the man. So Roosevelt should be wearing a cologne now that must go along with that attire. And so reasonable, in a very reasonable fashion, from $12,000, which is a fact in terms of clothing, we can now guesstimate the other apparels plus the cologne and whatever it is. Most likely we can strike a $15,000 easy that this brother was wearing on the day at Penville, giving out some little trickery playground in order for votes. So in a nutshell, we have your prime minister here. Easy, no sweat, on one outing, dressing. We're talking about $15,000 EC dollars plus. That's what it equates to. Now, somebody's missing, but the man have his money, the man can buy his clothes. Fine enough. But we know Roosevelt's carried where the talk about gifts does come from, or does comes from. And so I was listening to an African leader maybe sometime back, and he said, if a leader is so far off from his people in whatever way, shape, or form, then it is not the leader that is at fault, it is the people. And so I am saying, based on this brother's words from Kenya, if this man is so far off in terms of his lavish style of living, and that is just one outing, people, maybe he had changed and go to another outing on the same day. If he can be so far off from his people in terms of his dress, his decorum, his deportment, it tells something about the people. It says something about him, but it says more about the people who allow that. Now, remember I told us we have a couple in a house, right? On the backs of Dominicans. So we now have, for example, not Roosevelt's carried alone. We now have, how they call her? Gucci Mel. And they have a reason for calling her Gucci Mel. Let me go back. Let me go back. That's the bag, the sling bag that Melissa was wearing on the day. Okay, that's Roosevelt's carried shoes right there. That's the bag of Melissa. All right. This here, it resembles the dress, the skirt, the whatever it is Melissa had on her on the day. This here, people, represents the shoe that Melissa had on her feet on the day. Let me blow it up so you guys could see the design, because that is the way we could get exactly the price we're talking about. Okay, that gives us an idea of the quality of shoes. The Eleanor Pave slide or whatever it is named. It was 365 pounds. It came down to 215 pounds. So let us give her the benefit of the doubt. She bought it at 215 pounds. 215 pounds a shoe equates to more than $700 in Dominica. Okay, so that's your your wife of your prime minister's shoes. This is the shades, the sunglasses that she had on her the day. All right, that is a style right there. It is a Saint Laurent cat eye glasses, sunglasses. All right, and a check on that sunglasses in terms of price. It ran, or it is running just around the 715 USD price tag, which equates to pretty close, just about the touching $2,000 easy for that sunglasses. Okay, so just to fast track here, you have Roosevelt Skerritt. On him, on person, at least $15,000. Melissa, when the check was done on that day, Melissa was around the $3,500 mark right there. So we can just round that off. Let's just round that off to your prime minister and his wife wearing on that day at least $20,000 worth of clothing. 18,000 because 15 and 3, 5, that is 18.5. You throw another 1.5 there, whatever it is. We can comfortably say $20,000. So when at the preamble of my discussion with you guys, I said to you, it is the style of, the type of Qusay, Usay, and Mr. Saddam himself, and dictators alike, that dress in that kind of fashion very lavishly, then we are not far off. No, I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play that statement or Roosevelt, where he's talking about NEP and $200 and savings and $50 grocery. To me, that is foolishness. We don't have time for that. Okay, I'm not going to even go there. So let us just leave that alone. All right, but just before we bring it to a wrap tonight, I want to make the comparison. You have a family living on the backs of Dominica. It is a fact. In a house pretty close to $70,000 that the state is paying for him. Pretty close to $70,000. The state, we the people, we are paying for Roosevelt, Melissa, whoever it is, to live in a house at Mont Daniel, which he said many moon ago he was supposed to be off that house. Release Dominicans from that burden. So $70,000 is coming out from your pocket and my pocket to house Roosevelt Skerritt. Upon that, you have Roosevelt Skerritt himself. I am guesstimating from the Treasury of Dominica is getting at least 15,000 EC dollars from the Treasury. Melissa is close behind, 10, 12, about there. So can you now imagine, people, the kind of monies that go to that family, just one family, on the backs of poor and hard-working Dominicans? And that same man, that very same man, will have the unmitigated gall. He will have the audacity to come and tell you as an NEP worker, which equates to most workers in Dominica anyway, because your salaries are not far past $1,000 anyway. So he specifically said NEP, but he was talking to Dominicans at large. When your salary is just about 1,000 EC, he was telling you on 1,000 EC dollars, with the rate of inflation in Dominica, you should be able to save $200 on that $1,000. And so in Roosevelt Skerritt's warped paranoia mind, he wants you to live on $800 a month. And when his expenses now that comes from the state is $800 times how many? And so if a man like that is not out of whack with reality, I don't know who is, I don't know what is. The scale is not balanced, people. The scale is not balanced. But in closing, the scale will never be balanced if you, the Dominican people, play naive. If you, the Dominican people, choose not to put that cabal in their place through your vote, whenever that time is. Some people say there may not be another vote, but for the use of that program, without getting any more grave, I will say the use of your finger, your vote. And I'll end by saying, Roosevelt Skerritt, Melissa Skerritt, and the entire kindergarten club that he has running this country, they should be dumped in the political wilderness and never be made to see. Never be made to see or taste the reins of power in this country. Dominicans, I end. It is 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. Suffice to say, Dominicans, there will be no Civic Vibes program tomorrow. As you should know, it is Father's Day tomorrow. And so this team, we're taking a break, a much needed break. So all of you fathers out there, do enjoy that day. And so I'll try myself as well, as I am supposed to be a father. Yeah, I was told that. So I'll be taking that much needed break as well. All right. Dominican, sorry I could not take your messages, but the program was really packed tonight, condensed with information. Yeah. So on that note, I think I'll just be leaving you. Please, whatever is left of your night, please enjoy it. I saw a number of my friends online. Those of you who are friends, thank you very much. Those of you who are there as foes, thank you very much as well. I always say it is the beauty of negative charge and positive charge that makes life beautiful. All right. So to all my fans, friends, and foes alike, thank you very much indeed. That has been another episode of the Saturday Night Live with yours truly, Loftus Durham. All right. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's a program tonight on Q95 Radio whereby electoral reform and electoral reform matters will be discussed and spoken about. Then you guys, if you don't have anything, you can tune in to that all-important program as well. All right? I just thought I'd punch that in. So, Dominicans, that is it for me. Thank you very much for your eyes and ears each and every time. Yeah, let me just see if I could leave a very conscious track from Nasio for you guys. That track is entitled Bean Futs. Yeah?